Hello. Hey, what is up, you guys? It is dropping shit on the floor. Hey, what is up, you guys? It is me, Emmerich, and welcome back to my channel. It's good to see you all again. I know I have been gone for a while, but if you watched my last video, you would know that I was experiencing just a little bout of homelessness. I was in between places for about 6 months. I would really not recommend it. Luckily, everything is sorted now, and I'm in my boudoir on my pink chaise lounge, and we are back with movies and a mug. I'm not gonna lie, I don't really remember what we watched last time. I feel like maybe it was Barbecue, that French cannibal movie. And if so, it was fine. It was funny, I guess. But today, to mark my return to doing this, I would like to return to a streaming service that I hold very near and dear to my heart, and that is Passionflix'S. So for those of you who are unaware, Passionflix'S is a streaming service. The only thing that Passionflix'S make are like B-movie adaptations of erotic novels. So I always say, you know, think 50 Shades if 50 Shades was made on like a budget of $5,000. So far on this channel, we've covered The Protector, which was about a rich English girl and her bodyguard. We've covered Gabriel's Inferno, which is about a woman falling in love with her Italian literature professor. And we've done something else. 2 Gabriel's Infernos? Maybe? They have like 8 of those or something. That is, they are pumping those out. But anywho, I love a good trashy romance. And these movies, baby, are as trashy as they come. They always make some real interesting choices. Not only in like, you know, the plot, which is always shake and go. Like, they're always nonsensical. But also, you know, the acting, the art direction, the effects. But despite it, I just keep coming back for more. I can't get enough of them. They are so terrible. The dialogue is so cringy. I need more people to watch them. And so today, we are covering Passionflix'S 2021 sci-fi adventure fantasy release, Wicked. When I first saw that Passionflix'S had sci-fi, I was immediately skeptical because sci-fi is one of those genres where it takes a lot of money to make it look good. You know, you can kind of get away with the more kind of realistic Buffy season 1 type things if you have a really compelling cast and if the actors are all, you know, making this a world that you want to be invested in. But I'm familiar with the type of programming that Passionflix'S puts out, and not to say that their actors don't do a good job at engaging their audiences. As I said before, I've watched several of these, but I don't think the audience is engaged because the acting is good. You know what I'm saying? I think the audience is engaged because they're like, oh my god, that just came out of a person's mouth. Someone wrote that line. And then several people read this script. And then they paid actors, they got cameras, and they recorded them saying this line. And then they put it out for people to watch. Wow.
Are you not embarrassed?
And I was also immediately wary because plot holes are something that are just kind of par for the course in Passionflix'S movies. Like when I was watching The Protector, there was like a child death plot hole that just was never resolved. And so tackling a genre like sci-fi, where the concepts and themes, you know, ask a little more of your audience, is really a challenge that I was very interested to see if they could rise to, and no. No, they cannot. I also want to say one thing, and I want to make it very clear, like right up front, that I have a massive bias going into this because I hate sci-fi mumbo jumbo. I hate it. Oh my god. Fantasy mumbo jumbo too. Elves and dwarfs and orcs and they're always the fucking same. No. So because I already hate this genre, my expectations going into this movie were so low. So low. Because I already know no matter what they do, I'm probably just gonna be sitting there like, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. We're gonna do some makeup and we're gonna chat about it. What makeup are we gonna be doing? Well, let me tell you. We are currently experiencing a heat wave in England. We're talking like 40 degrees. So if you think I'm about to glue down my eyebrows, you've got me dead wrong. I am about to glue down nothing. So we're just gonna do something a little draggy, something a little fun, something a little severe, a little intense, but using my natural brows. So get into it. This movie starts in the same way that pretty much every Passionflix'S movie starts, which is with some stock footage and like a voiceover from our leading character. This time around, we have a woman named Ivy, and the voiceover really lets you know, like right off the bat, that Ivy, she isn't like other girls. Ivy's dark and she has secrets. You know, she talks about wanting to be a normal person with a chance to connect, but she just can't be because she was born into a different kind of life. And I mean, I'm a dramatic bitch, so obviously I'm into it. But also, the movie wants you to know that Ivy, she's wise. You know, she has things to say. She has a perspective. We know that because in the voiceover, she hits us with this truth bomb.
If wishes were fishes, we'd all cast nets.
I don't know what this is supposed to mean, but isn't it deep? It's very deep. It's very good. You're doing great, hon. I forgot how different these colors come out. Like in the pan, this looks like a deep brown with a red hue, and you put it on your face and it's almost purple. Honestly, that's why I never liked this palette in the first place. First things first, in the movie, we are introduced to our main character, Ivy, and her best friend, Val, who I affectionately call Becky with the bad lashes.
I believe the correct response is, I love you so much for getting me iced coffee. I'd do anything for you.
Because those lashes, I am sorry. Girl, did you bring those from home? Mm-mm. Now, on the off chance that you've seen any of my videos before, you may be aware that I'm an actor, and as such, I do like to have just a little bit of the video just dedicated to how I feel that actors performed their roles, you know, how they embodied these characters. And I feel like I can continue with this video without pointing something out that I noticed as soon as Val opened her mouth. And that is that the dialogue that they chose to give to this character is rough. And like, okay, I don't want to rag too hard on a working actress who's just trying to make ends meet and has just taken this role. You know, even if her credits do include such gems as America's Most Wanted, America Strikes Back, and the short-lived reality TV show Kimora Lee Simmons' House of Fab. But maybe just have a look.
I'm your bestest friendest in the worldest. I totally do you. You know I swing both ways.
Is this the gay agenda? I like boys.
I like boys.
We found out that Ivy wants to be a social worker, but both Ivy and Val are members of an order, and it's their job to hunt and kill a species called the Fae. And now, the Fae in this movie are honestly quite a loose concept. And by that I mean the movie never really tells us exactly what a Fae is or does or why they're dangerous, just that we hate them and like that's enough to just kill them on sight. We cut to the next scene and Ivy is on patrol and she sees a Fae just like taking a leak in an alley and she immediately just tries to kill him, and it's like, well, he wasn't doing anything. Like, why? But anyway, that is never answered. Literally throughout the entire movie, never answered. But we found out that the Faes are weak to iron, and that one of their qualities is that they like have metallic skin. And it's not clear whether or not only members of this order that Ivy belongs to can see the metal skin, or if everyone can see the metal skin that's just metallic in color. Like, it's not actually metal, it's just like silver colored. But anyway, after killing him, some other dude pops up. And if you watched my Twilight review, you'll know that I spent a good 40 minutes of my real life just cackling over the wigs in that movie.
Wig? Did you just say wig?
But this guy... I fucking howled. Oh my god. I've been really stressed with like the move and the homelessness, but this really made me laugh. This is one of the worst wigs I have ever seen, and I thank you because I just could not stop laughing. I found it so fucking funny. This doesn't even really look like hair, like... So, Beauty Shop Barry over here summons a gun, and that's like one of his powers, to summon guns. Honestly, I don't know how that makes him any more dangerous than just kind of like your average street criminal. I would assume that this order who hunt these super dangerous creatures would have a way of combating firearms, considering this movie is based entirely in America, and like, what is to stop any of these creatures from getting a gun? Really nothing other than some loosely defined code of honor. Question mark. You know he's supposed to be a bad guy, right? But in all fairness, he does have one of my favorite lines in the movie.
You're not a normal Fae.
And you're not a stupid cow.
Honestly, that made me cackle. That made me cackle so much. Point one for movie. Anywhoomst. They fight. Ivy gets shot in the leg, and then she just kind of runs off. She goes into one of the like safe houses that her order has, and she is found by our leading man, a walking swirling mass of steroids and Botox, Ren.
And you're one bundle of kick-ass hotness.
So Ivy passes out, like from blood loss or whatever, and when she wakes up, she's greeted by like the leader of the local chapter of the order that she works for, who is a guy named David. And so she explains to David, you know, what she saw. She was like, hey, this Fae was different. He was doing some hella creepy shit. And David's like, well, the powers that you described don't really describe a Fae, but they do describe this other type of super Fae known as an ancient. But like, all of these super powerful Fae were supposed to be sealed away in a place called the Otherworld. Y'all remember I said I hated mumbo jumbo? This is the type of mumbo jumbo that I have a real hard time with. And so for some reason, David decides to tell Ivy to just like, keep your mouth closed. Keep it stum, bitch. And she's like, why? Like, people need to know, like, this is dangerous. And he's just like, oh, well, there aren't a lot of them. Which, okay, I mean, if there aren't a lot of them, then you're telling me that they're really rare. So your average order member wouldn't know what to look out for. So surely they'd be even more vulnerable, you know, to these really powerful beings who are trying to kill you that you don't know anything about. Like, maybe this is something you want to tell people. To me, the whole thing just seems really irresponsible. But then again, that's probably why I don't lead a militia and he does. Fuck my drag, right? So Ivy agrees and she goes home. And we are then introduced to, this.
So, where were you, Ivy Divey?
We find out that this is Ivy's pet. A shirtless, buff, blonde, seemingly homosexual fairy who, I guess for reasons, they didn't want to call a fairy. Honey, that's a fairy. So instead, they call him a brownie. Which, girl, I don't know who in your marketing department told you that that was a better idea. Just know that they were wrong. Oh, also, did I tell you his name? His name is Tink.
Hi, gay. Happy Pradman.
So go to the next scene, and Ivy decides that even though David told her, hey, bitch, don't go out hunting, like, you know, you got shot, so, like, take a few days off. She's like, nah, I'ma go. So she goes hunting, and she runs into Ren, who's obviously like, thought you weren't supposed to be hunting. She's like, shut the fuck up. And he refers to her as, quote, a bundle of kick-ass hotness. The dialogue in these movies just keeps getting better and better. And then we move to a scene where David tells Ivy that, hey, she's gonna have to show Ren around town for a few days because, like, I guess he's new to the area and David wants him trained up. She agrees, although kind of begrudgingly, and then goes back to her house. And then that evening, whilst Ivy is in bed, Ren breaks into her house and stands over her whilst she's asleep. I feel like there's a word for that. Creepy as fuck. Like, that is the thing of nightmares. Like, waking up and just having some absolute stranger just like standing over you whilst you're asleep, like that is legitimately terrifying. And so, much like any normal person would do, Ivy is like, what the fuck are you doing in my house? Get out. But obviously, like, you know, we can't forget that Ivy is a member of this group of people who kills people. So obviously she tries to fight him. She ends up kind of sat on top of him. And I think the movie is trying to portray that this is like, you know, some kind of sexually charged escapade. But it's like, no, he broke into her house. He is assaulting her. And he turns it into some weird sex thing by being like, oh, if you scoot down a few inches, you'll, you know, see how excited I really am. But it's like, dude, read the room. You literally just broke in here. What the fuck are you doing? And then he also makes some weird comments about how, oh, Ivy's boyfriend must be so pleased with how feisty she is. And Ivy's immediately like, my boyfriend's dead. Yeah, boner killer. But you know, this is probably just a reason that you shouldn't break into people's houses and then say things about their personal lives. I feel like the least Ren deserves in this moment is to be a little bit uncomfortable, if not, you know, arrested. So Ren apologizes for like overstepping the mark, which, you know, really kind of seems like you're downplaying what happened, but okay. And he confirms to Ivy that he is a member of a secret organization within the secret organization, and that within this secret organization, within a secret organization, they have remit to hunt the ancients. And he tells Ivy that there are gates to the other world, and that one of these gates is in New Orleans, where this movie is set, and that the equinox is coming, and that the gates are weaker on the equinox. And so he thinks that the Fae are going to try and open the gate. But also, that doesn't make any sense, because the Faes come from the other world, and so do the ancients. So they've already been coming through the gates. So what additional drama this brings was kind of unclear to me. But put a pin in that for now, because the movie does try to answer this question. So we'll circle back. So Ren and Ivy then go out on patrol, and they see like a prominent real estate developer or something in the city is actually an ancient. And they're like, oh my God, they don't usually operate, you know, in the open because they don't age. So, you know, they tend to try and keep everything undercover. And we also see this dude like compel a woman to like leave with him or something. So now I'm just sat here trying to make a running list of all of the powers that Faes and or ancients can have. To be honest, it's all a very tangled, confusing web of things that don't really make much sense, but the movie just kind of tries to wave away and go, oh, you know, fantasy hullabaloo. Oh, this is a good time to make an unrelated point that we do get a quote from Tink that I would like to get tattooed on my lower back.
Sex is good.
Shut up, Tink.
Sex is fun. Sex is best when it's one-on-one.
Isn't that a George Michael song?
Maybe. But he was wrong. I like to think sex is best when it's 3-on-3 or something.
Seems more adventurous.
Anywho, so we move on, and Val is now having a chat with Ivy, and she's like, hey, you know, my mum used to talk about the ancients, like, all the time, and she said that they were, like, real bad news, and they have, like, a whole court where they have, like, the prince and, like, the princess and, like, the king and queen of, like, you know, the ancients, and it's like, girl, earlier on in the movie, David said that nobody really knows about them because there's so few of them. How do you know about the Gates? How do you know about the ancients? Like, why did your mum know about them? So is it common knowledge or is it not? And also, the ancients and the Fae got into this world through the Gates. So are you telling me that the Fae can make it through, and then the stronger Fae can make it through, but the strongest of the Fae, which is like the heads of the ancients, so like the worst, most powerful ancients can't make it through the gate. But everybody else, all of the like nobodies of the world, they can just walk on through.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Okay, so this is what the movie decides that like, it's time to get sexy. So Ren and Ivy go to stake out a club. And yes, there has to be a club in every single Passionflix'S movie. There's one in The Protector, there was one in Gabriel's Inferno, and there's one in this one. So check, we've been to the club. So they have a little costume change, and then they go into this club where their fae are hanging out. And there's just some straight fucking going on. Just like all of the people in the club are just like having sex. You've got fae with fae, you've got human with fae, you've got human with human. But this scene just had the fae kind of peacefully interacting with humans. And it's like, why do you have to kill them all? What are they doing that's so bad? You still haven't told me. But then, just as Ren is about to finger blast Ivy on the dance floor, she pulls away and she's like, no, I have to go look for some information. So then she heads off and she hears that property developer guy that she was stalking from earlier talk about essentially how they know the location of the gate and how they're going to go and like open it. Ren also delivers this monologue.
I'll admit you felt sweet as silk against my fingers when I had my hand between those thighs.
You lit up for me like a goddamn firework.
Honestly, if that was me, I'd be like, and did you have jalapenos for lunch? And so to get some more information on the Fae, on what they're doing, and this whole gate situation, Ivy goes to a woman named Merle. And as soon as we are introduced to Merle, it's like, oh, okay, you're the stereotypical kind of crazy member of the Order who's seen things and had wisdom but was damaged and now delivers pearls of wisdom before descending into hysterics. And I was like, I give it about 3 minutes before she's screaming into the void. And yeah, it took about 3 minutes.
It's in the wind. It's in the very song of the birds. It's in the soil. Everything will be undone.
But of course, she does help to drive the plot forward because she tells Ivy that there is not one gate in the city, but there is 2. And she also says that she knows the real reason that Ren is in town, and that is to find and hunt the halflings. Oh, more sci-fi mumbo jumbo. And here I was getting worried we didn't have enough already. So the movie then tries to explain that a halfling is the child of a fae and a human. So it's me, you know, it's a biracial baby. She's the biracial girl. But the problem with these halflings is, oh my god, you're gonna have to bear with me. It's a mess. The blood of a halfling on the outside of the gate can open all of the gates, but the blood of an ancient from the inside of the gate will close the gates. But we then find out that a big part of Ren's job inside this secret club is to hunt the halflings. So instead of just keeping them away from the gates, they kill them. But also, the blood of an ancient on the outside of the gates will also open the gates. Just not all of the gates, I guess, just that one gate. So that's also bad. And then something else that makes even less sense than everything we've talked about so far. Tink then reveals that him and the rest of the brownies destroyed all of the gates from the inside of the other world, but he didn't know that there was a second gate in New Orleans. So the first gate is broken, but the second gate, people could still come through it. But then what is the problem in having a halfling who doesn't live in New Orleans if the only gate that is functional is 1 out of 2 gates in New Orleans? Then what does it matter if you have a halfling in Sacramento? Because he's never going to be anywhere near the fucking gate to put his blood on it to open all the gates, but also all the other gates have been destroyed. What? I told you I hate this shit. I hate this shit for a reason, bitch. This makes no goddamn motherfucking sense. This makes no fucking sense. Girl, what? I guess it's not important to anyone because then they bang and we're treated to lots of roaming shots of like the Sharpie tattoo job that they've done on Ren. And I'm not gonna lie, they both have fantastic bodies. They are both very attractive people, especially Ivy. Like, she is hot. She is really, really hot. So I'll give him that. He is hot in the body, less in the face, can't really act, bad personality, but you know, he's the lead in a romance movie. So after fucking, Ivy goes to tell David everything that she's learned about these gates and about the ancients and all the rest of it. And then we have David calling a meeting of all of the order, and he's basically like, tomorrow is probably gonna be the Fae apocalypse. And also, we have no plans to stop it. Like, not a single plan has been made. A lot of you are gonna die, so you should just go and like, we're not really gonna prepare tonight either. You should just go, spend your last night however you want, have a good time, and then tomorrow come back and die. Girl, you knew this was happening. Like, this isn't a surprise to you. Like, you knew all of this. So why didn't you prepare anybody? This organization has failed on so many levels. Not only just the way that they seem to segment information that people should really know, like the fact that ancients are a thing. Ren's group who hunt the ancient don't know where the gates are that the ancients are coming through, despite the fact that there are ancients in the world that have come through the gates. The way that they've organized this is truly chaos. Ivy has some kind of emotional moment where she reveals that she was once compelled by a fae and talks about her tragic backstory, because everybody needs a tragic backstory. So all of the order members go and they gather at this gate. I'm not gonna lie, this fight sequence was so lame. For what they were touting as the apocalypse, they really didn't have a lot of people come in to fight now, did they? But anyway, budgetary constraints aside, they have that whole thing about putting the blood of an ancient on one side of the door will close it, and on the other one will something, blah, blah, blah. So, during the fight, Beauty Shop Barry shows up, and Val slashes his throat, touches the gate, and opens it, and then out of the gate come like these shadowy figures, including someone who is identified as the Prince of the Ancients. And he like immediately leaves. Ivy follows him and they have a fight. I'm guessing this guy is going to be some kind of romantic rival going forward. Maybe if they make another one, he'll probably come back evil and sexy or whatever.
Your hair, it's the color of fire.
But he does beat the shit out of her and Ivy passes out, only to wake up the next day back with Ren And she's like, oh my god, did the Fae win? It was the end of the world. What's the tea? Now, bear in mind, the entire premise of this movie was that once this gate is open, it's going to be anarchy, it's going to be chaos, it's going to be the apocalypse. But no, Ren essentially just says, you know, it wasn't as bad as we thought. Actually, the Order managed to close the door. How they managed to do that, we don't know. Will we ever know? No. They don't even touch on it. They're like, yeah, they closed it. It's wild, bro. So you can close the door from this side, from the human world side. Now you have no excuse to like hunt the halflings, right? Because the issue with the halflings is that they can open the doors from this side. Now that you know how to close them, that's not an issue, right? Wrong. After Ren leaves, Ivy then goes over and then gets a stick that Ren gave her in order to kill ancients. But he said that if it cuts a halfling, then their blood will bubble, and then she cuts her hand, and then her blood bubbles, indicating that Ren is gonna have to try and kill her if he finds out that she's a halfling. Even though, as I mentioned earlier, now that they can close the gate, it makes absolutely no sense for anyone to hunt the halflings, because if any of the gates are open, they can just close them. So why this is drama and this is like a cliffhanger, I don't really know. Maybe it's because they didn't read their own script. But why don't I go put on my lashes, put on my costume, and then we'll have some final thoughts. So, what do you think? I thought it would go with the theme, you know, like sexy devil, sexy make-believe movie type thing. You get the drift, you get it. So, what did I think of the movie? The plot made no goddamn sense. Like, I still have no idea why we don't like the Fae. I still have no idea how this whole gate situation really works. How did you close it? And also, why do you just have free reign to kill people? Because they're half person and half another species, so still a human. Pretty sure you shouldn't just be killing them just because you feel like it. I already went into this knowing that this was probably going to be a challenge for this production studio, because it really is asking more of them than they've done before. But oh my god, did they drop the ball, and did they drop it hard. The lead actress in this is definitely the best actress of any Passionflix'S movie that I've seen thus far. The dude, he's unimportant. He just stands there. Val, bad. There's also a really dodgy Scottish accent in this movie that I don't think I touched on, but like, here it is.
Girl, Faye, don't I use guns? I'm thinking you might have hit your head, girl.
That's not how they sound, mate. That's not how they sound. Anywho, where am I going to put this on the pantheon of Passionflix'S? You know, the ones that I've already reviewed thus far, where's it going to go? Well, I'm going to put it above The Protector and above Gabriel's Inferno Part 2, but below Gabriel's Inferno Part 1, because that was a mess and I was into it. Now, they left it kind of open-ended, so there could even be a sequel to this, but if there is, girl, please, Tosca, if you're listening, hire a wig stylist, hire a hair and makeup person, hire someone who is not going to put people that look like this into a movie. This is unacceptable. It is 2022. Well, technically this movie came out in 2021, but still, girl, no. Your brother is the richest man in the world. He can buy you some human hair bundles, bitch. Wasting my time. Anywho, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you liked this look. If you did, please make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can find links to all of my socials in the description box down below. And until next time, kisses from hell. Bye, guys.